is winning against the offense in the preseason, in practice, all this good stuff, and we came out quite flat. Do you think that's an overrated defense? Do you think that's a more of a sign of our offense not being as good as we thought, and that just made our defense look better? Or do you think this was just kind of an off day, and you're optimistic moving forward?
I mean, I think our defense probably isn't as good as has been hyped up this summer. I think they're going to be really good.
Take that back.
Hold on, hang on. I think they're going to be really good. I think they maybe, I don't know. I feel like this team has had some issues in the past coming out thinking they're hot shit, week one, and they just can't. Once they're playing, actual players from the other team, they tend to take a bite of humble pie. But I think this is going to be a good defense. I think top 10, top 8 maybe, but it's week one. Again, they're going to have some things they need to iron out. This is a new head coach. We've been playing a Minnesota Vikings team for the last 5-6 years with Mike Zimmer, and they're more defensive oriented. And here comes Kevin O'Connell, really trying to tailor this offense to Kirk Cousins, Dalvin Cook, and Justin Jefferson, and he just handed to us yesterday. Give him credit.
Yeah.
I'm not too worried. It's week one. It's 1 week. Hopefully, it's an anomaly when we look back at the end of the season. But I don't think it's cause for concern yet.
I'm going to pat myself on the back because I did choose the under, and I did predict the Packers loss. I did think it was going to be a little closer than this. But the reason why I thought it was going to be a loss, and why I thought it was going to be a lower scoring game is, well, one of the reasons is because I saw the over under on Justin Jefferson's receiving yards and Cook's rushing yards, and I think it was 82 yards receiving over under and 50 yards rushing over under, something like that. And I don't know, I just didn't see us doing it for some reason, and sure enough, Justin Jefferson had 186 yards receiving, and Cooks had, was it 90 yards rushing? I mean, not only did they go over, but they essentially doubled the line.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if this is again cause for concern. I don't think so, but I feel like they did the things that we knew that they were going to do. They relied on Dalvin Cook and they relied on Justin Jefferson. It wasn't rocket surgery. I just think over time.
Does that make it?
Go ahead.
Does that make it better or worse though?
Yeah,
we knew what they were going to do.
Right, and I mean we knew the personnel they were going to rely on. Sometimes it's just you hit a buzzsaw. You play some really good players and it's tough to stop. And again, it's kind of a brand new offense, brand new head coach. A culture shift. They were at home week one against the Packers, fired up. It happens. Wish it would have been a closer game, and I think the Packers beat themselves in a lot of instances on Sunday. And I think if the Packers can clean up the mistakes, this is we may be talking about a different outcome.
Yeah, obviously the drop pass, obviously the goal line, those two plays don't necessarily win us the game right there. We probably still lose if those two things happen. But those two plays working in our favor, plus a defensive turnover, which Kirk Cousins usually good for one, right? The fact that we got no takeaways, and then obviously the kind of the mental mistake on the goal line, and then just straight up a drop pass on the first play of the game. I mean, those three factors probably, if they go the opposite direction, and you could play woulda, coulda, shoulda, like I do with my golf game all the time, that obviously, completely changes this outcome, and probably how the media is talking about the Packers in general. That being said, I think last year we were all more in panic mode. 38-3 to a pretty mediocre Saints. We're unfortunately or fortunately accustomed to the Packers coming out flat, getting kind of rolled a little bit in the first game of the year, and then we typically turn it around that second game. Matt LaFleur, even though he's lost a lot of these, week one games, he only loses 3 or 4 games a season. So, I don't know why anyone would be concerned yet. Now, if we drop one to the Bears on Sunday, which is coming up here this Sunday night, I think then maybe it's time to hit the panic button. Do you think that's too premature, or do you think Sunday is going to be a must-win game?
I think Sunday is as a must-win game as week 2 can ever be. It's a second division game in a row. I don't like that at all. I don't know why the NFL did that. I think it's dumb. I think maybe it'd be cool in the future to see what they do. Like what they do with college football is maybe, the first 4 weeks there are no division games.
And we said this before the game, so we're not just bitter about the loss. We said this last week when we were kind of previewing the game. I don't like it either. I didn't think we had done it in forever, but when I was looking up, game 1 scores, this was actually the schedule 4 years ago, but it was Bears week 1, Vikings week 2. So the NFL does do this on every 4 or 5 years, it seems like.
Yeah, and then maybe if the Packers win, beat the Vikings and beat the Bears, and both of those teams end up being good, we're breathing a sigh of relief at the end of the season, saying, "Oh man, we snuck by with those two." But anyway, yeah, I think to go 0-2 right away and to go 0-2 in the division right away, that's that's tough to come back from. I have faith in this team, but I think this really is a get right game for the Packers coming up. We'll talk about it more in the next episode, but
yeah, and you know what? Again, I kind of thought we were going to lose this game. Obviously, I hoped we were going to win. And then remember, I have us losing week 3 against Tampa Bay. So and I still have us only losing, I think, 3 or 4 games on the season. So this is not a panic time yet, right? I think all the Packer fans calling in to radio stations going, "Oh my God, let's put in Jordan Love," obviously is a clear overreaction. I would have liked to see more life out of our offense. I would have liked to see more life out of our defense. But I think, as they say, it's a lot of things that are easily correctable.
Yeah, and it's funny because if you look at the stat lines for Rodgers and Kirk Cousins, Rodgers obviously had the pick, which was kind of just a punt essentially at the end of the first half. But Rodgers had 22 completions for 200 yards, and Kirk Cousins had 23 completions for 277 yards. And a lot of those yards from Kirk Cousins too were after the catch, or just a wide open blown coverage to Justin Jefferson for like a 30-yard gain. I don't know. I don't know what my point is. I guess it's just relax, everybody. This isn't a time to panic. If we lose to the Bears on Sunday night, then maybe I can give my blessing for the panic button. But yeah, at this point, I'm not super worried. What did worry me a little bit was when we had a couple of linebackers go down with injuries during this game. Chris Barnes had I believe a high ankle sprain during the game and was wearing an air cast. Quay Walker, I think, came out with a shoulder injury, if I recall correctly. Is that right? So
yes, it didn't seem Quay's at least didn't seem too concerning. But I don't know why I'm saying that either.
Yeah, I don't know. I think as of this point on Wednesday, he may right now he may play on Sunday depending on how this week of practice goes. But losing him would be a big loss. Just by the eye test. First of all, he led the team in tackles, but the fact that he was just flying around. The guy is fast. He is at the ball right away. Didn't seem to miss any tackles, or at least he was able to get everybody wrapped up, and he could be a really, really big piece for this defense moving forward. So to lose him to injury, especially this early, could really be a negative for this Packers team. But
yeah, no, I think you're totally right. I did feel like the Vikings picked on him a little bit, but only because it was his first game in the NFL. To your point, he was right there making tackles. I think there was 1 or 2 tackles where you and I looked at each other and go, "Wow, someone was on him right away," and it ended up being Quay Walker more often than not. So it's very exciting. I'm looking forward to kind of putting this game behind us. But before we do, is there anything kind of from this game that you're going to take away and say, you know what, that was an anomaly, or anything that you think you're going to focus on here, towards as we move on to the Chicago Bears?
Yeah, I think the Packers are going to get the miscommunications cleaned up on defense. I think there were some blown coverages. I think one thing that may concern me a little bit is, we just didn't get a lot of pressure on Kirk Cousins. He is notorious for getting the ball pretty quickly. And, when you have one of the best receivers in the league getting open, almost every single play, that helps.
Wide open.
But I was a little disappointed in we couldn't really get pressure from Preston Smith or Rashawn Gary. And I mean, Rashawn Gary did have a sack, but it didn't see, the pressures didn't seem consistent. They just seemed few and far between.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. I think that's more concerning than the offense, because we know the offense is going to take time to kind of start clicking. I agree that pressure, I think, leads to a lot of things. It leads to receivers that aren't as open, and I think it leads to turnovers. So if we can get those guys going up front, I think that'll make everyone look better. And then yeah, I think it's just more reps for these young receivers to get with Rodgers. And I think again, I'm going to stay cautiously optimistic about the season. But I think that kind of does it for us today, Marcus. We're going to be doing another episode here shortly, previewing the Bears game, our get right game, our first home game against the Chicago Bears. And remember, Aaron Rodgers is an owner of the Chicago Bears. And we're just going to break down, what we think we need to do to succeed, and again, get the season on track. But for now, that does it for us today. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Green and Golden Boys podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, rate us on your favorite podcast service, and as always, go Pack Go.
Well, that does it for us today. Thank you for listening to another episode of the Green and Golden Boys, a Packers podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and rate us on your favorite podcast service, and go Pack Go.